And you go, God, here I have this most prolific, this artist in the world, and he believes in me, and how that made you feel.
If you remember Michael Jackson for his iconic dance moves, his costumes were just as unforgettable. From the sparkling glove to the legendary military outfit, every outfit became part of his identity.
Michael's favorite part, especially in history, was military uniforms.
Designed by Michael Bush and Dennis Tompkins, these costumes turned MJ's performances into unforgettable fashion moments. The fedora and the magic of the tilt. The black fedora appeared on stage constantly, but it did far more than sit on Jackson's head as decoration. He'd pull the brim down over his eyes during long, still poses, letting tension build before a burst of motion broke it. He also leaned on it to accent quick, sharp gestures, the edge of the brim slicing through the air like a knife. Its biggest technical job came during the smooth criminal lean, where the hat helped preserve the clean line of his silhouette as he tipped forward at an angle that looked impossible, feet secured by specially patented shoes bolted into the stage. Beyond mechanics, the fedora had a ceremonial weight to it too. The instant he set it on his head, slowly and with intention, he stopped being a man and became the performer. Audiences understood what that gesture meant. The hat grew so tied to his identity that it could appear by itself, one lone object on an empty stage, and still summon his entire persona. Now let's take a closer look at this fascinating image showing Michael Jackson inside what appears to be a massive private vault filled with memorabilia from his legendary career. Glass cases stretch across the room, displaying red jackets, gold outfits, and other costumes inspired by his most famous performances. In the center, a giant golden bust of Michael wearing reflective sunglasses adds an almost surreal touch, while Michael himself raises his sparkling white glove for a selfie. But the authenticity of the image is still debated. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. The Bad Music Video Leather Ensemble. In 1987, Martin Scorsese took the director's chair for The Bad short film, and Jackson's wardrobe made a sharp turn toward a grittier, more urban attitude than his previous looks. He wore an all-black leather jacket loaded with zippers and silver hardware, paired with a plain white tee and black trousers. The oversized buckles and rigid shoulders came across as tough and defiant, a clear departure from the dreamier costumes seen in earlier videos like Thriller. It fit the storyline, loosely inspired by West Side Story, in which Jackson's character is a prep school kid heading back to his old neighborhood, needing to prove his toughness hadn't faded. The outfit was everywhere by the late 80s, endlessly imitated by both fans and clothing brands. Jackson demonstrated he could reshape his visual identity for a new musical moment without losing cultural relevance. This ensemble wasn't about fantasy or royalty, it was about street credibility, and it hit its mark exactly as planned. Studying European monarchs for stage wear, Jackson's team didn't turn to modern fashion trends for direction. Instead, they researched European military history and genuine royal regalia. Bush explained that Jackson would wander through European museums, spot antique royal garments behind glass, and want to put them on immediately.
His favorite part, especially in history, was military uniforms. So that transcended into his rock and roll.
Copies weren't enough for him. He wanted the true energy of those pieces reworked into something he could actually perform in. Tompkins and Bush focused especially on King Henry VIII of England, whose bold silhouettes, wide shoulders, and heavy ornamentation shaped Jackson's stage jackets directly. Tompkins even taught himself soldering and sandblasting so he could recreate the craftsmanship found in historical armor and crowns. These research trips weren't leisurely tourism. They were focused missions to grasp construction, proportion, and the visual grammar of power. That deep historical foundation gave Jackson's costumes their gravity and authenticity. He came across as a monarch on stage, not a pop star playing dress-up in a rented costume. The black Billie Jean sequined jacket. Katherine Jackson sewed every sequin onto the black jacket her son wore the night he unveiled the moonwalk on Motown 25 by hand. The cut was clean and cropped, giving his shoulders and arms complete freedom of movement. Nothing about it felt heavy or confining, which was exactly the intent. Jackson needed to glide, spin, and freeze instantly, and the jacket needed to vanish into the choreography. Under the television lights that night, the sequins caught the light with every turn, and Jackson's on-stage identity clicked into place. Glove, jacket, fedora, loafers. Every element that would shape his solo career converged in that one appearance. It went on to become one of the most imitated stage looks of the century, copied endlessly by fans and designers. What's often overlooked is that no fashion house created it. His own mother did. The look that ignited a worldwide sensation began at home, sewn by hand. The artisan's skills behind the costumes. Tompkins and Bush needed abilities that no fashion school ever teaches. Tompkins taught himself metalwork from scratch, spending weeks mastering soldering and sandblasting to build a sterling silver crown. Bush would spend entire nights fixing zippers that had been torn apart on stage mere hours before. The illuminated Thriller jacket needed 3 engineers to wire 11,000 bulbs, plus a dedicated technician to run the remote during performances. No ordinary costume department could have handled work like this. The designers turned into artisans of metal, electronics, and rare leathers because Jackson's vision required it, and nobody else was equipped to provide it. Over 25 years, the partnership functioned as much like an engineering collaboration as a creative one. The goal was magic, and magic demanded skills that had to be invented on the spot. Each tour pushed their technical range even further, and they never turned down an idea just because it sounded unachievable. The Remember the Time Egyptian-inspired robes. The 1992 video for Remember the Time set Jackson inside an ancient Egyptian royal court, dressed in flowing, gold-trimmed robes suited to a court magician. John Singleton directed the short film, with a cast featuring Eddie Murphy, Iman, and Magic Johnson, an intentional showcase of black cultural royalty at the height of their fame. The robes glimmered with gold thread and were tailored to move dramatically during the sand-spinning dance break, where Jackson slid across the floor as if friction had no hold on him. The costume blended African royal styling with Jackson's own futuristic instincts, casting him as a mystical performer sweeping into a powerful court and stealing focus. Unlike the rigid, structured military jackets that projected authority through stiffness and shine, these robes emphasized fluid drape and motion. They showed another side of his performance style, grounded in grace and flow rather than sharp lines and metal edges. The practical function of stage shoes. Jackson never allowed anyone to shine his Florsheim loafers, and the reason wasn't superstition or quirkiness. Worn-in leather gave him traction. A coat of polish would have created a real slipping hazard, one that could derail an entire show or cause an injury. He once told Bush plainly that a sprained ankle would put the whole touring crew out of work. When the futuristic Captain E.O. boots proved impossible to dance in during filming, he refused to force himself to adjust or sacrifice his performance quality. Instead, the soles were removed from the supplied Reeboks so his familiar loafers could be tucked inside the sci-fi shell. His shoes formed the base of his entire physical performance, the one point where his body actually met the stage. No visual concern was ever permitted to take priority over that. These weren't mere accessories, they were treated like equipment, with the same seriousness an athlete shows toward gear before a title match. The crystal-encrusted white glove. The glove Jackson wore for his 1983 Billie Jean performance on Motown 25 was one single right-hand piece, covered entirely in hand-applied rhinestones. It wasn't a spur-of-the-moment idea or an accident. He wanted every eye in the crowd fixed on the precise movement of his hand, with each flick, point and turn. And a lone, sparkling glove against a dim stage did exactly that. Wearing only one glove built an odd asymmetry that was hard to look away from, a visual cue that pulled attention straight to his choreography. Across the years, his team built several versions with different crystal densities and cuts, some heavier depending on whether it was for film or a live show. The core idea, though, stayed constant. After he passed away, one of these gloves sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars at auction. For a piece of cloth covered in rhinestones that speaks volumes about how firmly it took hold of the public's imagination, it still stands as arguably the most valuable accessory in the history of pop music. The gold History statue bodysuit? For the 1995 History album cover and its promotional rollout, Jackson posed in a rigid gold bodysuit that made him look like a living monument. The suit was molded to his form with such precision that he seemed cast from metal, motionless and eternal. Paired with round mirrored sunglasses that fully concealed his eyes, he stood still, giving off a cold, monumental power that felt equal parts grand and unnerving. The History teaser showed a colossal statue of Jackson being revealed to a cheering crowd, and the gold bodysuit dissolved the boundary between man and monument, between living artist and historical relic. It was a costume built around legacy, about being viewed as history while still alive to perform it. No other pop star had ever attempted something this conceptually bold with a single promotional image. The bodysuit wasn't designed to move. It was designed to stand forever, and in photographs, it still does exactly that. The smooth criminal, white suit and fedora. The white suit, blue shirt and white fedora from 1988's Moonwalker film formed a silhouette crisp enough to cut glass. It borrowed from classic Hollywood gangster films, the kind worn by characters who drifted through smoke-filled rooms with lethal ease while still feeling entirely futuristic thanks to its clean lines and exacting tailoring. The suit needed internal reinforcement to withstand the choreography, including the now famous gravity-defying lean. That lean wasn't just a move, it depended on patented shoes that locked to the stage floor, and the suit had to work around that mechanism without bunching or ripping. The fedora sat low across his eyes, and once it went on, the shift from man to performer was complete. This look proved that a single color outfit, cut and fitted with precision, could stand toe-to-toe with the most ornate military jacket. Sometimes the sharpest weapon really is the simplest one. The Liberace goes to war design philosophy. Michael Bush coined the phrase Liberace goes to war to describe the core of Jackson's signature style. The idea merged Liberace's flashy, crystal-drenched excess with the strict, commanding presence of military dress uniforms. Jackson was captivated by Disney fairy tales and the image of a knight in gleaming armor dressed in a form-fitting uniform. A uniform demands attention, he once told Bush. The cut widened his shoulders and narrowed his waist, producing what Bush later called, in an interview with Rolling Stone, an intentional sexual mystique that resonated with his female fan base. Jackson had no interest in wearing runway fashion or following trends set by others. He wanted the major fashion houses copying him instead. If the fashion world called something forbidden, he said he'd do it regardless. That mindset, pushing his own individuality against the very establishment the uniform represented, shaped a 25-year partnership with Bush and Tompkins and produced some of the most recognizable stage costumes ever created. The 4F's framework. Bush built 4 guiding principles that shaped every piece Jackson commissioned: fit, function, fun, and first. Fit meant a costume had to move like a second skin, wearable art flowing naturally with his choreography without bunching, tugging, or restricting movement. Function mattered most of all on stage. Nothing could risk causing a slip, a fall, or any break in the performance. Fun made room for whimsy and childlike wonder, frequently borrowed straight from Disney imagery and fairy tale logic. The last F, first, was the subtlest rule, yet arguably the toughest to satisfy. Every design had to bring something new and never repeat a prior concept. Bush and Tompkins were never allowed to reuse a beloved look, no matter how much fans wanted it back. This framework explains why Jackson's wardrobe kept shifting unpredictably across the decades. Every tour and video demanded something genuinely fresh, and the 4 Fs made sure every piece justified its place on his body. The You Rock My World jacket and fedora. The 2001 short film for You Rock My World put Jackson in a dark, tailored jacket paired with a matching fedora, circling back to the sharp gangster look he'd first tried in Smooth Criminal more than a decade before. This version fit tighter and shorter, with quieter detailing that worked against the dim, warm club lighting of the video's setting. It became his final major music video costume before his death, and watching it, his fashion instincts clearly hadn't lost any edge. The outfit felt like a low-key victory lap, a more mature take on the sharp-suited image that had defined one of his greatest visual triumphs. He entered that club set looking every bit like someone who still knew exactly what he was doing, still able to command any room he walked into. The darker color palette was more restrained than the stark white of 1988, hinting at a performer who had nothing left to prove, but still took pleasure in proving it anyway. The look but can't touch rule. Jackson followed one strict rule for stage costumes. If an average man in the front row could afford to buy and wear the same outfit, Jackson would stop functioning as the entertainer. His clothes needed to feel obviously, unmistakably unreachable. This is what drove the 18-karat gold plating on the shin guards, the custom-molded metal armor pieces, and the bullion embroidery that took hundreds of hours to complete by hand. Wardrobe worked as a tool for holding distance between the performer and the crowd. Jackson had no interest in relatability through his clothing. He wanted to feel aspirational, untouchable, almost otherworldly. Every garment was built exactly to his body and his choreography, cut and reinforced for movements no one else could pull off. These weren't store-bought pieces someone could copy. They functioned as architecture built for the show itself, purpose-made for one specific body and one specific job, useless to anyone else who might try to wear them. The Earth Song tattered shirt. At the 1996 World Music Awards performance of Earth Song, Jackson wore a loose shirt deliberately roughed up, so it looked shredded by the same environmental destruction the song described. The fabric hung in strips, and as the performance reached its emotional peak, the shirt's fragility echoed the planet's own vulnerability. Jackson's movements grew more desperate and unrestrained, his body glimpsed through the torn cloth, sweat and fatigue folding into the visual storytelling. The costume abandoned all polish and glamour, leaning fully into raw theatrical feeling instead. There were no sequins here, no military epaulets, no shining gold, just a man in ripped fabric singing about a world coming apart. The garment's decay told part of the story alongside the music, making it one of his most theatrical and emotionally exposed wardrobe decisions. It was costume functioning as confession, and the crowd at that award show watched a performer peel away every layer of artifice until only the message was left standing. The Thriller werewolf costume. Rick Baker, the legendary effects artist who had shaped creature design for a whole generation, built the full-body werewolf transformation that opens the Thriller short film. The costume involved heavy facial prosthetics that entirely reshaped Jackson's features, yellow contacts that made his eyes look feral, a full fur suit, and clawed hands. Jackson willingly hid the most famous face on the planet beneath layers of monster movie makeup. He trusted the character and the story more than his pop star image, a risk few artists at his commercial peak would ever take. The werewolf sequence set up the film's horror comedy tone before the dance number took over, and it worked because Jackson committed completely. He wasn't performing a werewolf as a joke. He became a monster, stalking through the frame with real menace. Jackson was willing to use costume not to boost his image, but to fully dismantle it in service of a bigger creative idea. The red leather Thriller jacket. Deborah Nadoolman Landis designed the red leather jacket for the Thriller short film, drawing equally from 1950s collegiate fashion and modern punk aesthetics. The color was bold, almost aggressive crimson, the shoulders flared outward to widen Jackson's frame, and a sharp black V-shaped trim ran down the front, pulling the eye downward. The jacket gave him a commanding physical presence throughout the film's dance sequences, making him appear bigger and more powerful than his slim build would normally suggest. Only 2 jackets were ever made for the production, making any authentic surviving piece incredibly rare. One sold at auction in 2011 for $1.8 million, a remarkable figure for a costume from a music video. The garment traveled so far beyond its original context that it turned into a Halloween staple, a fashion touchstone, and a museum artifact all at once. Very few music video costumes have ever reached that level of lasting cultural impact and recognition across generations. The black or white button down and black pants. The 1991 video for Black or White showed Jackson in a plain white button-down shirt, black trousers and black shoes. The song's message centered on racial unity, and the stripped-back wardrobe reinforced that idea by stripping away every trace of royal detail, military trim and glittering armor. The shirt hung loose and untucked, giving room for the explosive, athletic dancing in the climactic Panther sequence, where Jackson moved with raw, near-feral intensity. He wasn't setting himself apart from the audience with this look. He was blending into it, standing alongside dancers from every background in a sweeping cross-cultural scene. The simplicity carried the message. Anyone could put on a white shirt and black pants. That accessibility was exactly the point, grounding the song's meaning in something real rather than delivered from a throne. It stands as one of his most effective uses of wardrobe as political statement, proof that plainness could carry as much weight as the grandest spectacle. From his mother's hand-sewn sequins to Bush and Tompkins craftsmanship, every costume told its own story. His wardrobe was armor, magic, and timeless legacy. The king of pop remains immortal. Stitch by glittering stitch, his iconic style forever inspires generations.